Hello, my friends. I hope you're enjoying spinning in space, perhaps in beautiful Ireland, perhaps in some other corner of the glorious orb. I'm going to talk about the war we're in, the energetic, spiritual war, a linguistic war, or you could call it a struggle, a competition, just like, snake wants to eat a frog, frog doesn't want the snake to eat it, or an ant is trying to eat a berry and the tree is like, hey, I need that, that's mine, and secretes caffeine compounds or whatever to try to deter, not too many ants eat it. Nature is cooperation and competition. And one of the craziest examples of this is the current war, information war going on in the world. And in Ireland it's pretty intense, but it's all over the world, especially the West, where there's the traditions of freedom, and these are trying to be eroded by certain forces. So basically, it's not like a hot war in most parts of the world. It's not like shooting each other and violence. However, it is a struggle which we need to be careful, make sure it doesn't deteriorate to that level. But if you look at basically the struggle between collectivism and complete centralization of power to some bureaucracy that will sacrifice the individual for the greater good, if need be, or maybe just for fun, versus individualism and liberty, which says, no, and decentralization, saying like, live and let live. You take care of yourself and then your family and your community and your country, but you do whatever you want if you're not depriving other people of the ability to do whatever they want. So there's these two forces which are mutually exclusive, and they're at war, basically. So the thing is, let's say in Ireland, so where I'm Jamie McGlue, I'm running for election for Gaelic Awakening. Sign up, gaelicawakening.ie. We need more members, then I can officially register, or I'll be running as an independent. Dublin Bay North. Okay, so in Ireland, where we are here, so many people are kind of sleepwalking, or they're probably on some level know that something's wrong, and it's incredibly obvious that something's wrong. Like the government are a bunch of liars. Isn't this is so clear? They're clearly not motivated by love. Like the energy is totally wrong. Look at the bankster bailout crisis. What happened there? Look at building the M50 or whatever it was. Was it another highway maybe? Through different one. Through Tara. They like desecrating the ancient site of Tara just to build a motorway. Same gang of people basically. These scandals with the cervical checks and scandal. I mean, people got died from this. The COVID tyranny, just completely anti-scientific while they're shouting at us to follow the science. It's like, are you projecting or are you psychopaths? What are you doing? This is insane. Onto the mass immigration thing, just flooding the country. We love diversity and having a diversity of different perspectives and cultures, which is why we're trying to completely eliminate the Irish culture. And the Gaelic language is dangling by a thread. There's a strong desire to expand it and revive it, but still a small percentage of people speak it daily, not by choice, but that is so small. This was the legacy of colonialism and oppression. But anyway, there's a lot of these things that don't really make sense. Why are you doing that? So how do we wake these people up? The key is language. It's about language, right? Even if you think no, the key is violence. Ultimately, it's like a revolution. Violence is kind of the ultimate, final resort or whatever, right? And if someone you can have all the words you want, but if someone comes in with guns, then what are you going to do? You can try to talk to them, but that's the thing. Actually, it's what controls violence, and the violence on the side of the state applying violence, the violence on the side of the people, defending themselves or going crazy and taking over, whatever it is, in any historical situation. Words flow around and they control what people think, and that determines how many people enter the battlefield on either side and where the battles are and what they're over. It all comes back to the words people use and the emotions that people kind of express and experience, which is largely guided through words, through thoughts. So basically, this whole thing about, who controls the treasury Do we have what kind of a system? Do we have central banks just printing money out of thin air, which is this secret tax on people that people have no idea they're paying? Oh, the cost of living is just always going up. Weird. And also these central bankers are always getting free money every year. Funny how that happens. It's not connected, is it? And there's countless other things we could talk about, the degradation of our traditions and our culture, So free speech, defense of free speech. But this struggle, it comes down to language, the words people use, and who can be more persuasive. And so let's think about, it's not enough to preach to the choir. We're not going to win this. And I define winning this next election as gaining enough seats for candidates who stand for free speech, fair borders, and full sovereignty, right? These three core issues. There are many other issues that are important, but these ones are I think that's the core. That's enough. If we get that, if we don't get that, it's not enough. If we get it, it is enough. We can build on that. Anyway, so we need enough. Victory is enough candidates standing by the three Fs, these three policies. Then winning enough seats that the government cannot function and just completely ignoring the people and just ramming these policies down our throats. Basically, where maybe they still have a greater number of seats than our lot, but we have enough that they cannot function without us, and we are able to block what they're doing, and also that we have enough that we can be raise issues, and the newspapers, are going to look completely corrupt, as if they already look very corrupt to anyone paying attention, but even to the dopey, half-aware people, cramming, one too many sandwich, one too many pint down their mouth, and barely paying attention, are still going to be like, what? If there's enough, a big enough group, then we can control the debate, because we can bring things up, and it's very, very hard for them to ignore them. And so then that sets limits on what they are able to do. But anyway, so this is victory. How do we get the victory? How do we wake enough Irish people up to what's going on? Now, the core thing is questions. Apparently, I'm not a psychologist, but apparently people who are indoctrinated, you may know a few of them, you may even be one of them. We're all indoctrinated to some extent. And that's the thing. Start at home. Charity starts at home. Start de-indoctrinating yourself, finding ways in which you are possibly biased or conditioned invisibly, without realizing, by your society and your upbringing in some negative way, or your friends or the government or whatever. So I noticed through the COVID thing, at certain points I was feeling, I was not wearing a mask on the bus. I put it on, get on the bus, and then I take it off, as soon as I was there. And then sometimes people looking at me askance, I'd be like, oh, am I doing the right thing? In hindsight, it's yeah, of course you're doing the right thing. That was an insane policy, and you're standing up for what's right. But sometimes we are not fully conscious of these things. So work on ourselves, but especially for others. If we want to get through to these indoctrinated people, the key is questions. And you can throw all the logic in the world and all the evidence in the world at people, but if they don't want to listen, they will not listen, and they will either just ignore it, or they will make up some counter narrative in their head, this person's being irrational, or this person's manipulating the facts, or I don't like how this person thinks they're so smart, or whatever, or they're judging me. This just whatever. There's some mental hand waving that can go on, and the way the mind works, it's just you can just switch off. And so the key is questions. If you ask them, keep them open. So and apparently this is psychologically backed up. This is actually how it works, right? And it seems to be effective in my experience. So say I go to someone, what do you think about, the whole hate speech thing? I think it's wrong, right? And they're like, well, I think, hate speech is bad. So, if we need to control it. And then instead of just saying they're wrong, go, okay, but who decides what hate is? For example, in the Soviet Union, probably Stalin would just decide that everything is hate, right? Obviously, anything that's critical of him. So how do we avoid that kind of thing happening? Because I'm sure you said you care about, reducing hate. How do we prevent hateful or, just corrupt people getting control of it? And so you're not forcing something on them. You're asking them to put something forward. And then they think they're right. And so they go, oh, well, let me just reach back here for the answer. And hey, where's the answer? It's here somewhere. One sec, I'll find it. And they go looking. And then they go, wait a minute. Oh, I don't think I have the answer. So you let them find it, So basically, here's the thing. What are the questions we need? So we need to find the questions to win this war, this spiritual war between love and unconsciousness. Or we could say, love and, ignorance. And, you could say evil or hatred and that's true to some extent, but I think ultimately we're all love. And it's like, even those, your Klaus Schwabs or whatever, who are just like on some crazy ego trip, they're not even there. They're asleep. That's like their ego. That's not them. Their soul is you and me. It's another branch on the tree of life. That soul is asleep at the wheel, and there's some hectic autopilot program running. And but that's my opinion. And that's a philosophical thing we can leave for another day. Oh, I have a podcast episode on that, evil. But anyway, we'll leave it there. The point is, practically speaking, help me, help you, help me, help you, help us, help God, help us. Find the right questions to win this war. Gar mille maith, gach bannacht. See you next time.